In today's headlines, it's such a delight to have you join us on News Hour today on Souq News, your choice station for developmental news from Nigeria and around the world. I am Grace Komolafe. The Nigerian House of Representatives has passed a revised student loan access to higher education bill, aiming to address challenges that delayed the program's launch last year. President Bola Tinubu signed the initial student loan bill into law in June 2023, promising access to interest-free loans. However, its implementation was postponed due to concerns about the program's structure, eligibility requirements, and funding sources. This revised bill seeks to create a more robust framework, as well as proposes establishing a dedicated body, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, to manage and disburse loans for higher education, vocational training, and skills acquisition. Lawmakers emphasize the bill's potential to improve access to education and contribute to national development. The bill aims to provide loans for tuitions, fees, and living expenses to qualified Nigerians. It also outlines a system for loan repayment with exceptions for hardship cases and death. With the Senate's positive response, the bill could be passed as early as next week after further committee review. This revised legislation represents a renewed effort to provide Nigerian students with financial support for pursuing higher education and essential skills training. Reacting to recent claims by Microsoft that Russian hackers are still prowling around its systems, a tech expert and an IT analyst, Oluseyi Akindende, has advised business owners and individuals to ensure their internet password are safe and secure to avoid hackers gaining access into vital information that might affect the business. While speaking on Souq News' flagship program, Early Exchange, to have the advice, he gave this advice to individuals and corporate organizations.
You are not too big and not too small to be hacked. You can be a target of any organized cyber crime. Secondly, if you look at the mechanism of the attack, it was also due to passwords. It wasn't anything sophisticated. It wasn't as if they hacked, used a sophisticated exploit, or they used a backdoor, or they used some kind of advanced, mechanism to hack. It was simply password spraying, guessing of. So what makes us think that in Nigeria here, if they wanted to target banks, financial organizations, we all have mobile apps and we log into it. What happens to situations where they just do this, use the same, attack? So for everybody listening, whether you're a corporate organization or you're, number one, make your passwords very strong. Don't use passwords that are easily guessable.
Speaking on internal mechanism and how to prevent future reoccurrence, he shared more on this.
On any server, on any device, on any product, whether it is even Microsoft or any other vendor, enable two-factor. And for even viewers, for individuals using social media, using software, using computer, enable two-factor. Password and maybe your biometrics, or password and your second factor authentication. Even the second factor now, a lot of people are still using SMS, and that SMS is still vulnerable to, attack through the telco. Some people actually switch off your phone and then they receive your SMS. So SMS shouldn't be used. It should be mainly biometrics, or using this Google or Authenticator and all those kinds of things. And where you can go passwordless. If you go passwordless and there's nothing to steal, think about those Russian hackers. There won't be anything like password spraying. They won't sit down and be guessing usernames to passwords.
How does that work?
For more information and to know how that works, visit our YouTube channel for the full interview. Moving on, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics says the value of agricultural goods imported into Nigeria in 2023 exceeded exports by 1,037 trillion naira, marking the 5th consecutive year imports exceeded exports. According to NBS, Nigeria imported agricultural goods worth 2.281 trillion naira in 2023 and exported agro-produce valued at 1.244 trillion naira in the year under review. Specifically, over the 4 quarters of the year, agricultural goods import consistently reduced exports almost by 100%. In the 4th quarter, imports stood at 555.46 billion naira, while exports were at 279.63 billion naira. A similar trend occurred in 2nd quarter, where imports were 567.79 billion naira, while exports stood at 280.87 billion naira. In the past 5 years, from 2019 to 2023, Nigeria exported agricultural goods valued at 2.93 trillion naira, while the value of its agricultural goods import stood at 8.19 trillion naira during the same period. Moving on to the energy sector, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has offered updates on the Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries during a Senate ad hoc committee investigation. The group's managing director, Mele Kyari, announced that the Port Harcourt refinery is primed for operation within the next 2 weeks, with over 450,000 barrels of crude oil already stockpiled there. He reassured the committee of NNPCL's commitment to fulfilling its rehabilitation promises and ensure efficient operations. Highlighting the progress made, he explained that the Port Harcourt refinery achieved mechanical completion in December and is undergoing mandatory regulatory compliance tests before restarting. Regarding the Kaduna refinery, Kyari assured that it's on track for a December completion despite complete mechanical work. He also addressed concerns about crude oil pipelines supplying Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, expressing confidence in their integrity despite potential security challenges being tackled by the government. And now the Controller General of Immigration, Keme Nadab, has ordered personnel deployed to the Nigeria-Niger border to resume work. This decision comes after President Bola Tinubu's directive to reopen the borders between the two countries. Previously closed following ECOWAS's decision, ECOWAS has imposed sanctions on Niger Republic, including border closures, after a coup ousted President Bazoum. In a statement signed by the Acting Service Public Relations Officer, Kenneth Kure, Nadab directed all controllers at States and Borders Command along the Nigeria-Niger Republic border to comply promptly and lift all restrictions on human movement, assuring that the service would maintain the integrity and security of Nigeria's borders while facilitating safe and orderly border crossing. Moving ahead, the Niger Delta Development Commission has joined forces with the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria to bolster food security in Niger Delta region. This partnership aims to leverage the region's natural resources for rice cultivation and youth employment. The NDDC emphasizing the potentials for a shift from oil dependence towards agriculture, plans to utilize its rice mills and introduce the Youth-Focused Agriculture Program, HOPE, which aligns with President Buhari's agenda. FIFAN is committed to collaborating and showcasing the region's capacity for substantial local rice production, aiming to contribute to national food security. Still on food production, Ogun State, Nigeria is partnering with German missions to bolster food security and transition towards clean energy. This initiative seeks to cultivate improved agricultural practices, promote environmentally responsible farming methods, and propel the state's advancement towards a renewable energy infrastructure as Germany extends a hand of support. Germany's Consul General Wirtz Bonner emphasized their eagerness to forge deeper ties with the state, particularly in agricultural and energy sector. He underscored Germany's commitment to empowering Ogun State's aspiration to become the nation's breadbasket through the implementation of sustainable and enhanced food production techniques. Additionally, Germany aims to catalyze Ogun State's development of a robust renewable energy framework, as well as empower small-scale farmers through the dissemination of knowledge and training programs delivered by Extension Services. One of the major ingredients present in every home in Nigeria is palm oil. Its usage ranges from food preparation and industrial use. Israel Adeyemi in this report shed light on the sector and how to improve it. Please stay.
Palm oil has long been a vital component of Nigeria's agricultural heritage, with roots tracing back to pre-colonial times. Originally serving local needs, its importance has grown exponentially, propelling Nigeria into a prominent global producer. Spread across regions like Edo, Delta, Cross River, and Ondo states, the country boasts extensive plantations and advanced processing capabilities. It takes about 4 years for oil palms to produce fruit suitable for harvest. Each tree will then continue to produce fruit for up to 30 years, at which point they will have grown to around 40 feet tall. According to reports, Nigeria's palm oil production increased to 1.4 million metric tons in 2023, witnessing steady growth since 2009, with a peak surge in 2010. Despite a surge in domestic consumption, reaching 1.8 million metric tons in the 2021-2022 crop year, Nigeria still imports 350,000 metric tons, primarily from China and Malaysia. Similarly, some of the challenges plaguing the sector include declined production, outdated equipment, and insufficient financing, resulting in a notable production deficit. To address these challenges, government intervention is imperative, necessitating increased funding, favorable policies, and enhanced environmental protection measures. Furthermore, Nigeria and other African countries must move away from the local way of producing palm oil to a more mechanized method for effective and efficient production. Additionally, fostering collaborations among farmers, processors, marketers or consumers, and equipment fabricators is vital for sustainable production and value chain development. Israel Adeyemi, Souq News.
Thank you, Israel, for that report. Reports on a major experience stated that West and Central Africa were plunged into internet darkness yesterday, March 14, 2024, leaving businesses scrambling for alternative solutions. The disruption, which affected countries like Nigeria, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Guinea, Liberia, and Niger, stemmed from damage to critical undersea communication cables. According to reports, 3 vital arteries for telecommunication data, the West Africa Cable System, WACS, Main 1 and and ACE all sustained damages, crippling digital transactions and internet access for countless individuals and businesses. The outage left telecommunications subscribers stranded for hours, unable to conduct online banking, access social media, and utilize other internet-based services. Data analysis firms like NetBooks, Kentik, and Cloudflare confirmed the widespread impact, reporting connectivity issues for mobile operators and internet service providers across the sub-region. The disruption went beyond basic internet access, impacting cloud services as well. Away from that, Ghana has begun formal negotiations with its international bond holders to restructure over $13 billion of debt dollars, marking a crucial step towards alleviating the nation's economic burden. This development comes after Ghana defaulted on most of its external debt in late 2022, grappling with its worst economic crisis in decades. The government aims to achieve significant debt relief through these talks, targeting a reduction of $10.5 billion in external debt repayments and interest costs between 2023 and 2026. Additionally, they have proposed a haircut of 30% to 40% on their bonds, and a measure that has been met with mixed reactions from creditors. Moving ahead, Argentina's Senate has rejected President Milei's economic reform decree. The decree, according to the president, aims to address the country's ailing economic, but was deemed unconstitutional. Milei's government took measures to improve fiscal and trade imbalances and also gave some decrees concerning privatization and labor reforms. But these measures, according to the Senate, also caused high inflation and poverty, as the country is faced with an annual inflation surge of 276% last month, and poverty levels have climbed up to 57% of the population. A newly formed Abu Dhabi investment firm, MGX, is reportedly in talks to invest in the chip development arm of OpenAI, the company behind the popular AI tool ChatGPT. This followed similar news about Singapore's Temasek Holdings potentially investing in OpenAI. The UAE is clearly keen on attracting investment in the AI sector, with its AI minister even suggesting Elon Musk might make an AI-related move in the country. This surge in AI investment comes as generative AI technologies like ChatGPT gain traction, driving demand for the chips and servers needed to provide these applications. And moving ahead, in a bid to enhance the nation's competitiveness in the economy and present an attractive option for both local and global businesses seeking growth opportunities, the UAE has introduced a corporate tax regime with a headline tax rate of 9%. This complements the Emirates' already ease of doing business environment, incorporating international best practices while offering unparalleled benefits for businesses operating within the country. Under the UAE Free Zone corporate tax regime, qualifying businesses enjoy a 0% taxation rate. This regime complies with OECD standards, having over 80 free zones in the UAE, providing investors with certainty and a vast trading environment. Transactions between free zones and with mainland and international customers classified as qualifying activities are subject to a 0% corporate tax rate, further bolstering the attractiveness of this regime. And still in UAE, Dubai's tourism industry experienced a robust start in 2024, welcoming 1.77 million international visitors in January, marking a significant 21% increase compared to the same period in 2023. This growth is attributed to various factors, including strategic initiatives by the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism, the city's world-class infrastructure and attractions, and its ongoing appeal as a diverse and dynamic destination. Western Europe emerged as the leading source market, contributing over 18% of the total visitors with 327,000 tourists. The Gulf Operation Council countries and South Asia followed closely behind, accounting for nearly 18% and 17% of visitors respectively. This tourist arrival in January signifies a promising outlook for Dubai's tourism sector in 2024. And still moving ahead, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has officially kicked off the search for its next managing director. This announcement made by board coordinators Afonso Bevilacqua and Abdullah bin Zara on March 14, 2024, reflects the organization's commitment to a transparent and merit-based selection process. IMF is looking for someone with a stellar track record in crafting economic policies. Open for business starting March 14th and running until April 3rd, 2024. Fund governors and executive directors have the opportunity to nominate candidates upon the candidate's willingness to be considered for the position. However, to maintain confidentiality, the names of confirmed candidates will remain under wrap until the nomination period closes. And now we'll take a break and return to more stories. Please don't go anywhere.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souq News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souq News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souq News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souq News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souq News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
Welcome back, and glad to know that you are still there. Moving ahead, global stocks are fizzling after a hot inflation report in the U.S. damped hopes of interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. This led investors to pull back, particularly from tech stocks, which are sensitive to borrowing costs. The focus has shifted to the Bank of Japan meeting next week, with speculations rising that they might finally abandon their ultra-loose monetary policy. Oil prices dipped slightly after a strong run, while Bitcoin retreated from its recent all-time high. Indian stock opened lower today following a trend seen across Asia markets. This drop came after U.S. inflation data surpasses expectations, sparking concerns about potential delays in interest rate cuts. The decline in India shares mirrors the broader sentiment in Asia, where markets reacted negatively to the hotter-than-expected U.S. inflation figures. Investors are worried about the implication of potential delays in interest rate cuts, which could impact economic growth and corporate earnings. The current week's performance reflects heightened volatility and apprehension among investors, highlighting the fragility of the market amidst external economic shocks. Moving ahead, as concerns regarding Japan's minimum wage increases, the country's largest trade union group, the Rengo Union Group, representing about 7 million workers across the country, says it will announce results of its week's annual wage talks today, with expectation for a rise of more than 4%, which would be the biggest boost since the early 90s. This is coming days after Toyota Motor unveiled its biggest pay increase in 25 years, prompting analysts to raise pay hike projections to 4% or more. Analysts had previously seen increased at around 3.9% this year after last year's 3.6%. Furthermore, Japanese businesses are facing a chronic labor shortage due to an aging and dwindling pool of workers, and Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is pushing companies to raise wages to help Japan shake off years of deflation. El Salvador is set to transfer a big chunk of its Bitcoin asset to an offline device that will be stored in a physical vault within the Central American country's territory. President Nayib Bukele, who revealed this yesterday, noted that the country has decided to transfer its Bitcoin to a cold wallet and store that cold wallet in a physical vault within its national territory, adding that the country plans for a tax-free crypto having powered by geothermal energy from the volcano. The country's Bitcoin portfolio is at close to $407 million, though the true size of the holdings remain unclear. But a recent rally in Bitcoin values has reignited interest in the world's largest, if volatile, cryptocurrency. El Salvador became the first country in the world to establish Bitcoin as legal tender in September 2021. And now, China's central bank, the People's Bank of China, had opted to maintain a key interest rate. This decision, in line with market expectations, comes as the bank prioritizes currency stability among global economic uncertainties. The bank kept the rate on one-year minimum term lending facility, MLF loans, unchanged at 2.50%. However, they withdrew cash from the banking system by injecting only $53.80 billion worth of new loans, falling short of the 481 billion yen due to expiration this month. This move is the first cash withdrawal through MLF since November 2022, indicates the bank's cautious approach towards monetary policy. Analysts believe this signals the bank's intent to prevent excessive liquidity in the system, while potentially paving the way for further reserve requirement ratio cuts to supply and support the country. Faced with fierce competition in the electric vehicle market, Japanese auto giants Nissan and Honda are exploring a potential partnership to reduce production costs. This collaboration could focus on key components for EVs, potentially including parts for K cars, a uniquely Japanese vehicle category. While discussions haven't officially begun, the idea reportedly originated from the conversation between the CEOs of both companies. The scope of the collaboration remains undecided, with overseas operations posing a potential complication due to Honda's existing partnership with General Motors. While the future of this potential partnership remains uncertain, it heightens the pressure Japanese automakers face from Chinese and American electric vehicle manufacturers like BYD and Tesla. By joining forces, Nissan and Honda could potentially gain crucial economies of scale and strengthen their position in the global EV market. And finally, Switzerland's telecom company, Swisscom, is acquiring Vodafone Italia for $8.7 billion to further consolidate Europe's competitive telecom landscape, mirroring recent mergers in France and Spain. The acquisition creates a powerhouse in Italy's fixed-line broadband market, merging Swisscom's existing Italian subsidiary with Vodafone Italia. The deal is driven by stagnant revenue growth for European operators and to share desire to boost profitability. Financed with the mix of cash and debt, the acquisition has the backing of the Swiss government, a major shareholder in Swisscom. Interestingly, the government might consider reviewing its ownership stake, potentially paving the way for partial privatization. And before we call it a wrap on News Hour today, here is a recap of our top stories. Remember to follow and engage on all our various social media platforms. On behalf of the news team, I am Grace Komolafe. Do have a pleasant weekend. Bye.